Tevez da solo, Tevez al limite dell'area, fa fuori tutti, Tevez, si apre la porta, Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro, gol.
Ciao Juventini, welcome back to the All Juve Cast channel, of course, where it's all Juve all the time. It is match day. I got Anthony, I've got Omer with me. We are going to get ready for the return match in the group stage versus Maccabi and Juventus, this one taking place in Israel. Okay, so there's a lot in the news that we're going to tackle and go through. Yeah, there's just never a shortage of things to talk about Juve, and the past couple days, that holds true yet again. So we're going to tackle all the news first, and then Omer's going to fill us in on Maccabi since our match with them, and then we'll talk about obviously just very, very lightly what happened with Milan, and then we'll talk about the press conference of Max and Adrian Rabiot that took place yesterday leading up to this one. And then we'll get ready and have some fun with predictions. So predictions are already come in the live chat, okay? And Jeremiah, as always, Jeremiah and Bobby, just jumping in here, always out of the gate. Love to see it. So Jeremiah says, hey, guys, in my opinion, what's missing in the entire Juve organization from top to bottom is unity. They say that they're united, but the truth is they're far from it. Disjointed in all areas, fans included. So it's interesting, and that's the feeling a lot of people get. And I was speaking to a friend of the channel, Zvik Mister there, and he sent me some footage from Milan and just the difference in what's going on between their club, their fans and everything, and a Juve. And interesting to hear what took place while he was at the game and what he was being asked as someone attending the live match. We'll get into all that and everything, okay? But good to see you guys. Prediction early on. Swarit wasting no time. 4-2 prediction.
I like it.
Juve winning.
I like it.
Guys, let's get into this. Let's get into some news and everything, okay?
Okay.
How are you guys doing, though? You guys ready for this today?
Come on. Absolutely living the dream. Absolutely living the dream every day. Look at this. We get the chance to do this. It's beautiful outside. It's not raining. Fall weather. If you never get to experience fall in North America, it's a beautiful thing.
There you go. And Anthony, of course, and myself, being in Canada, celebrated Thanksgiving over the weekend. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I had to pretty much shut down Skanger Ranch, right? You know, this is a long weekend. Start to bring stuff in for the winter season. You know, it's a long, cold winter here.
There you go. So there's a storm in the barn early in. Jeremiah, I'm going to let you know that one of our news tidbits actually covers in that question, but we'll pull it up when we get to that, okay? We're going to kick things off in terms of news for Juventus. Really quick, was reported originally that Chiesa was going to take part in a match with Primaveras and whatnot. It's actually just training. He's going to be training just so he can keep that going while the team is away, obviously, in Israel for the match today. Okay, so a little bit of clarification on that. That was breaking through yesterday. John Elkann is not selling Juventus. Okay, so that news come out, and immediately I think I was looking for the Vince McMahon "no chance in hell" gif, whatever, but it was kind of hard to find, so I just put something that basically said no chance. Look, there's no chance of that happening. I can not see a scenario where that takes place. You guys agree? I mean, we all kind of thought, what's going on? Where did this come from? Who started this?
That's a pretty big non-story for me.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, someone posted Agnelli is going out, and it like exploded, and everyone shared it, reached to ESPN, and it turned out to be, just banter, but everyone fell for it. So once again, that's the social media for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So clearing that up, he's not selling. The big one that come up again is everybody's getting their hopes up that Sergei Milinkovic-Savic will be coming in January. Okay. And apparently, if we go back, some are choosing to believe it because of the fact that there was a lot of heavy reports that there was agreements agreed to between the player and Juventus and whatnot. Right now, I don't know. I can't see it happening Where do you guys stand on this Milinkovic Savage thing? Do you think there could be traction there, or just again the media just working their thing right now?
Omer?
Yeah, it might be a media thing, but it's there for a long time. Like, what's 4 seasons now that we're related to him every transfer window. I could see why Juve are planning to make that move, and it would be fantastic if they could land Savic. I doubt it will be in January, and if it does, if he has a good World Cup, then we won't be the only ones. His contract runs out at 2024. So basically the same case as Vlahovic. Might be better for Lazio to cash in January than wait for his final year, and then they can make less money off him. But we know Lotito, we know how tricky it is. We know Juve's financial situation, which is not good at all. And maybe, that system of bringing in players for a lot of money, maybe that's not the answer as much as I want Savic. Like, United tried that for a long time, just bringing in more 90 million players every year, and just didn't work out no matter who the manager was. So it might not be what we hope for, but if we do sign Savic in some miraculous way, I'll be psyched. I'll be over the moon.
Yeah. And
John Elkin will have to sell the team in order to afford Milinkovic Savic. So I think John Elkin would sell the team or spin it off before Juventus actually buys this guy. So
yeah, so
No
Ant
chance.
just doesn't see SMS coming over. For me, it's like, if I think
In
about
January,
this thing,
there's
even
no
with
chance.
yeah, even with all the smoke around this, and usually where there's smoke, there's fire. But whatnot. Listen, I don't know. I just this team 250 million euros in debt, right?
There's no way.
Like, we're gonna pull Savage this January with Lazio, with Lotito.
No chance.
I can't see it. I would love for that to happen. Okay,
Oh, for sure.
I would love for that to happen. I just picked him up on my ultimate team, and oh man, what a card, man! Just
What a
absolute
guy.
fire. Listen, it's I just can't see it happening right now. And again, throwing all this money and whatnot. Great player. I think he's a good, solid player. There's a comment in here as well. Nothing's done with some of these guys that have taken off. I wouldn't throw Rovella in there because different roles and whatnot. But I mean, Arthur's deal is probably he's coming back. They're going to have to
That's
deal
done.
with that.
Yep.
Rabiot's going to be probably gone, and that's a big chunk of salary. So they could swing it in terms of that. But the actual sale.
I don't know about that one.
Okay. Listen, I think he's going to be gone. I can't see Rabiot dropping his wage down. And honestly, I think there will
Maybe.
be a team that will pay a lot closer to what he's asking than Juve will end up.
Possibly.
The only way I see it happening is if he has the same case as Vlahovic, where he tells Lazio, I only want Juve, I don't want to talk to anyone else. Same as Lucatelli. That's the only way I can see this deal happening in January. Besides
The other
that,
thing is, too, right now, currently, his team's in way better form than Juve is.
Yeah.
Like, Juve's in a mess right now. So that's another one. That's another thing to factor
I
in.
haven't seen this one yet.
Is like,
Yeah.
not only is it the acquisition of Milinkovic Savic, but it's like, are we going to be able to keep our guys at the end of this season? Are we going to drop down that far? So we've got a lot of work to do. Too many players are underperforming. This was one of the headlines yesterday circulating, and it's like Max and the management agrees too many players are underperforming. Is that a player thing, or does that not become on the coach when you have that many players underperforming? I find it funny. It's like management and coach are talking. They're starting to put heat on the players. You're starting to hear ex-players, Barzagli being the latest, to talk about, well, I see these guys getting their heads down and they have to be accountable as well. So it's this constant battle, and you see it amongst the fan base out on social media. Battle between players and coaches and where that divide is, right? So let's talk about this right now. Just too many players underperforming. For me, when it becomes a matter of that, for me, it's more coming from the top down. And I spoke a lot about this after the Milan match about I'm seeing I just truly always believe the teams that we see, how they approach matches, what we see out of them is a reflection of the manager. I'm seeing a team has no direction, definitely not in the final third of the pitch. And our manager literally admits to not giving direction in the final third of the pitch. That's a reflection of Max, everybody. In terms of their attitude was the most upsetting because they started lobbying for calls and just look mentally fragile. For me, whether I'm not saying Max isn't trying to correct that or tell them, guys, stop worrying about this nonsense and fight through. But even if he is, it's not working. So even if he is addressing that and he's trying to get them to change or whatnot mentally, it's not happening. Some of the things I thought we could bank on out of Max Allegri returning aren't even there. So for me, it's a lot more, and I put more of it on Max. Where do you guys stand when you start hearing things like, oh, too many players are underperforming, and now they're starting to put a lot of pressure on the players? How do you guys feel about it? Anthony,
you mentioned some things that we could bank on when Max, what's one of the things that we could have banked on Max return that isn't coming
the
to fruition?
Mentality, the focus, playing 90 minutes of good football, like solid, even if it's defensive. I'm not talking about playing beautiful, but 90 minutes, like good all around performances. We haven't had a full game of a good performance I can think of.
Yeah. Okay. Omer, you want to start this one off, bub?
Yeah, I can. Well, to add to what Al said, the training, like whenever I came to Juve and Allegri was the manager, he talked about how it was the hardest training he had to endure, and it was really a challenge training for Juve. And now we obviously see that the training is just not enough. You know, he made it into a Champions League final with barely anyone on the bench, like Sturaro and Lamina were our go-to guys. And he made it all the way, challenged on all fronts, won 2 titles. And suddenly you can't even bank on your first team anymore. That's a problem. As far as mentality goes, I don't know. Maybe it was easier when you had sort of guys with the champions character and all those guys, you know, backstage, your Buffons, Chiellinis, Barzaglis, who made the job easier for him in terms of mentality of the entire team. And I feel like just, you know, being angry with the team all the time might not be the solution. Like, both of you have kids. Sometimes you need to be hard on them, and sometimes you got to find other ways, because being angry just doesn't work anymore. The problem is deeper. So maybe the problem is a bit deeper. It works. Okay, so from my personal experience, from children I worked with who, you know, didn't fit and had issues, the solution wasn't always just yell at them, give them punishments and stuff. The problem seems to me deeper than just throwing them into retiro again or whatever. So I don't know, something needs to be figured out, maybe outsource the problem and find another way to deal with it. But I don't think it's just the players underperforming due to the players not wanting to perform at the highest level. The manager, I told it to Al yesterday, attitude reflects leadership.
Yeah. Remember the Titans, great movie, by the way.
Watched it.
Remember that movie, Al? Anyways.
Oh yeah.
I won't get down that rabbit hole. Anyways, so there's a popular Twitter account out there who breaks down the formations that Larry puts there. I think Don Lippy's the Twitter account. Anyways, he does a really good job of sort of explaining the formations, and it's really interesting to see how, you know, they have that inverted fullback and Danilo slips into the midfield and Locatelli comes to the outside. And then you really look at it and you're like, why is Locatelli playing out there? So to Al's point, I think the players are following what Max wants them to do, and it's just not working. Like, again, I'm not an Allegri in or Allegri out guy. I'm just saying when you look at it on the field, I think they're following the tactics. I think they're doing their job that the manager wants them to do, but it's just not working for the skill sets that we have. And I see someone here saying that Rabiot's playing better than Locatelli. Well, maybe Rabiot's playing in a position that suits him, right?
Yeah.
And everybody else their job just doesn't suit their skill set. You can see it on the field. Locatelli isn't the same player. Not to say that he's somehow been injured or he's digressed, on his own. I just think he's not being put in a position to succeed. And
it's too many though. For me, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like Vlahovic is not in scenarios that benefit him and his strengths. Right. Yep. Locatelli is another. McKennie is another, even though many will just say McKennie is bad in general, but we've seen the opposite. We've
Correct.
seen him thrive a couple seasons ago under different leadership and whatnot and different setups. So I don't believe he's just simply unusable and garbage. Again, you can get more. There's too many that are just falling by the wayside. Like that's a bigger issue for me. Mm-hmm. Locatelli won. And if we want to talk about Rabiot, because now Rabiot all of a sudden is better than all these other guys. What happened when Rabiot was played as the outside midfielder? Because the only reason he's not doing it this year is because we brought Kostic in. And now you have a true outside player playing on the outside. And now all of a sudden this season, Rabiot's not an issue. Surprise, surprise. Use your players properly in the manner they're intended to be used. And all this belief about Locatelli as being this Metsala box, but it's not there, everybody. He is not that guy. I'm telling you. We had to do it last season out of necessity because there was absolutely nobody else around to do it. So they started using Arthur as regista and Locatelli on the side to try and help the offense. But the two of them truly played more like a double pivot, which suits Locatelli. He's a double pivot mid all day long. It just, you look at this, I can't get over the fact how protected I feel Max is by the majority of people out there. At some point, these numbers are just like, and when you hear this headline yesterday, it's going to take a disaster to get rid of Max. What exactly are we waiting for that we consider a disaster? If it started off this bad and it's 16 months into his tenure again, what exactly are we waiting for?
Yeah, we're on the edge of the rapture right now. Like we're standing at the precipice of this thing. And I'm not either way on the Allegri thing. Like you said, you said it right. The numbers. And I believe he's trying to motivate the team. I believe he's saying all the right things. I believe he's a good coach. I believe the players like him. I don't think there's an issue there. I don't think there's an issue in the locker room. I just think when he puts something on paper and then he puts it on the whiteboard and then he goes to his assistant coaches and then they, dissolve it out to the team to make it, come to fruition on the field. It's just not working. It's just not working with the players that he has. So do you replace all the players or do you replace the manager? And normally the manager is the one that's
change all the players. And this is my point is like, what are we waiting for? How long? And I get the financial thing, but at the same point, my God, if it doesn't turn around quickly. And again, I'm not extremely holding out too much optimism. Like I've reverted down, and we said this after the last pod, I'm down to taking it one match at a time. Okay.
Not much.
I'm taking it one match at a time because I have no idea what Juve is going to show up. I have no idea what to expect out of this team. I have no idea who's going to all of a sudden have a good game or whatnot. Di Maria's in the lineup today. To be honest, we are left as fans to believe in what Max spewed for the past couple months, which is just, hey, these guys are out. This is the best we are going to be able to perform, which I have major problems with. But now we're reverted to literally hoping that Di Maria, and once Chiesa comes back, they can help things. And then, of course, eventually Paul Pogba. Because outside of that, he has not been able to put it together with the rest of them. If we're waiting for these guys to just come back, Well, once they're back and then you face that big team, okay, because we're going to have that test October 25th against Benfica, as long as we get the job done and no slip-ups today, okay? But we'll get to that, of course. But Benfica, if all of a sudden I see a drab affair and we look disjointed against all, and these guys are in there, that's all I need to see, because it's been big game after big game after big game since Max has come back where this team has ultimately not delivered. And in sports, it's results based. It's nothing else. So I don't care if he's saying the right things. I don't care if he's doing what he needs to do in training. I don't care if the team trains hard and trains well, because it's not working out on the pitch when it counts. And again, the numbers. What are they waiting for to qualify as a disaster? Is this
that's the
is
question.
this a disaster, Omer?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very close to not making it to Champions League last season. We don't look like we're going to make it this season, not into next year's Champions League and not into the next round. Like, it would take something special to make that. And I don't know what, out of Europe completely, the bottom half of the table, what is considered a disaster? Now, firing the entire team, selling them and bringing new guys, they almost did that last summer. Like, they replaced a lot of key cogs in the team. But at the end, firing the manager is the easiest choice. And, they published the salaries of the team, of the Juve's management. Like, Allegri makes the most out of everyone. So the blame is on him. You can't run to the players, the allegedly small guys, and throw it all on their lap and say that's their fault. The manager is okay. And that's not a good way to thrive. It's just not. You're making a lot of money. You're accountable. I held Pirlo a lot less accountable because he made 1.8 million a season, less than most of his players.
Yeah, it's too hard for me to defend. I actually had someone go the opposite direction with me online when I was trying to have this discussion, and actually said, "Oh, what about these last 3 games that we played?" And I go, "What 3 games?" I said, "It's a false hope. It's a false hope if you believe in that Bologna match and that Maccabi win in turning things around." I said, "Sure, you see a bit better of an attitude, but things are going our way. What happens with Milan will be key. That's a measuring stick match."
The first Maccabi match should have been 6-4 final. Let's face it. Like, we should have let in 4 goals. They had 2 or 3 posts, right?
Yeah.
Vlahovic missed a whole bunch. So what was it, 3-1? Yeah, that could have easily been 7-5.
Yeah,
So,
but it's not like Real Madrid are banging in every chance they get. Because if
You're
they
not gonna
did, every
bank on
game would
scoring.
go with 10 goals.
But
the
that game
biggest
could have
thing
been
for me in
3-3.
that Maccabi match, even if you take away the misses, all this was the second half of complete garbage. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. And again, I talked about this. One thing I banked on was at least Max to have these guys well drilled, focused, and solid 90s. And we can't even do that. And honestly, everybody that's saying, like, because again, going back to this discussion that I was having online, he said, well, you never give Max the credit for what he does do well. And I, wait a second. Credit for what exactly? What am I supposed to give Max credit for since his return? Is it failing in almost every big game? 17 big games since he come back, 1 win? What am I giving
draws,
credit for?
right,
Exactly.
Omer?
A favorable start to Serie A this season in terms of schedule and 2 wins in 2 months? What am I supposed to give Max credit for? I'm failing.
Showing up?
Huh?
He shows up. Well, he's there every day. He doesn't call in sick.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was like, giving Max credit for what? We've barely won. That win against Bologna was our first in like a month. What are we talking about here? It's insane to me, the protection he's getting. So I think if it could you imagine Pirlo in that scenario? It would have been like the forks would have been out. People are sticking to the history with Max, but it
It's
doesn't
interesting.
matter. It doesn't
Would-
matter. Go ahead.
Would Allegri still be the coach if he was on the bench for that Monza loss?
Yeah.
he'd
Yeah,
probably still be the coach.
Yeah.
He obviously is. Like, it's not like
No,
they've
but he
thrown
wasn't
it
on the
all
bench, right?
Landucci. Yeah, but it's not like
You know what I
they
mean?
said, okay, Landucci is to blame for that, because Landucci didn't do whatever he wanted. He just did what Allegri told him to do. He's the assistant coach. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask a different question.
Yep.
If we do get a new manager, what avenue do you want to take? Do you want to go for that top tier manager who like guarantees success, or would you like to see Juve go back to the old ways in drawing out someone who is not well known, your Lippis, Trapattoni's, even Conte, and building with them? Like, what would you prefer?
Well, for me, the realistic solution is that you're not going to get a top manager in October or November. You might
No, that's obviously
like who's open, like Zidane maybe, but he's going to have
No,
a big
let's say
salary.
Allegri finishes the season and we fire him at the end of the season.
Finish the season. Yeah, you'd have to go for a top manager. We can't. We're not a daycare for managers to give someone their first start.
It shouldn't have been
And-
Pirlo.
And it doesn't have to be Italian. I don't care who it is.
Pirlo is excessive. I'm not talking about someone with no experience at all. But, Juve's biggest dynasties came from managers who were relatively unknown until they made it to Juve and then became, world-renowned managers. Maybe, I don't know, I'm battling with myself in an answer. Like, do I want to see someone Klopp if he
Yes,
leaves
you do.
Liverpool, or go for your Sotil, your Dionisi, your up-and-coming guys?
Yeah.
No, you want to see a big name.
It's
You do.
tough, and I will be the first to admit, while I want change, I have no idea who the right guy to come in at this moment in time
Fully
is going to
agree.
be.
And
Like,
who would want
I-
to come in now?
Yeah.
Who wants to take this over?
I have no idea. I do know that I think this team doesn't need a coach. They need a fucking drill sergeant, okay? Because it's just it's a mess, man. I want to see somebody that's hard-nosed. Conte-esque, but I'm starting to have doubts about any second runs for coaches and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
just
I
this
agree with
this return thing, even if it's Conte, has me it's left a bad taste in my mouth on returns, especially at coaching positions. So I would look for fresh ideas personally, but it does have to be somebody who's hard-nosed and no nonsense. And
Does it
can't
though?
give a
Like-
shit about the guys' names on the back of the kits.
Why? Okay, so I'm going to sort of disagree with that. I think he has enough talent in the room that he doesn't have to, like, maybe he doesn't have to. From what I see, he doesn't have to control ego, so he doesn't have to crack the whip. I think it's just putting him in the right. I think any manager who can put them in the right spots doesn't necessarily need to be a drill sergeant. Just put the effing players in their right natural positions.
I think they're mentally soft, man. I think this string has made them fucking fragile. And I saw it against Milan. I see it in big games every time. They're good when the things are going well, but when they're not, they are powders, man. And they need somebody hard-nosed to teach them to fight through and essentially call them out on that nonsense. For me,
So here's an interesting one. Gattuso. How would you feel about Gattuso?
I like his attitude. I like
come to
what
Juventus.
he instills into the team. Is he enough all around? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
there.
I agree with what you're saying. I think we need more to fix the mentality issues more than the tactical issues. Gattuso might be an interesting one. Someone threw it here in the comments. I didn't even consider him. He's just started at Valencia, but he's more of a drill sergeant and guy who gets more out of his players than an brainiac tactician.
Luis Enrique.
Luis Enrique, if Spain has a good World Cup, he probably won't leave.
Yeah.
And he's good with Spain. At Barca, he had, MSN, Iniesta, like he had one of the best teams ever. At Roma, he didn't do that well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But the good news
like
is,
I said,
we have
go
no
ahead.
idea. We have no idea because Max is still our coach.
Well,
So
we
all
have
these
no
names
idea
are just
'cause
names.
I don't even know what it would take so much to turn this thing around. And this is one of the reasons I'm even calling for a change now, is because I can't see him turning it around. I really honestly can't. Would love, and I would be the first to say chapeau, man. Well done. If you could turn it around, Max, I don't see it happening.
And for anybody who's new to the AJC army, me and this guy right here, we're all giving Max. We gave him all the time in the world. He's going to turn around. Let's see what he does. Hey, Al, we did our best, bud. We did the Lord's work to try
Hey, man,
and support Max.
we gave them all last year, and we said you got to give a manager a transfer market, a transfer window, whatnot. Even with our injuries, okay, I said
You gotta
sure
beat Monza.
he's missing some
Like,
key
come
guys, but it's Monza, it's Salernitana, it's Sampdoria. Come on, like I can't. If we need these
Yeah,
guys
we
for
tried.
Sampdoria, Salernitana, Monza, it's much more than that, and it's not coming together. So
Oh, that's a good question for you guys before you switch topics.
let's go.
This one right here, just kind of, the Milinkovic-Savic money, you have to use to pay the wages. Would you rather use the money to buy Milinkovic-Savic or fire Allegri? You get a little chest of money. Say, okay, pick one. Do you want the player or do you want to keep the coach?
I think the coach, like
Coach.
firing Allegri.
The
I
same
I
don't want
truly
to
believe
see.
it doesn't change.
I don't want to see Sergey becoming, what we're seeing from Dusan today, just another unmotivated guy who's not able to perform in a shit system.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow, that's sort of surprising to me.
I'm telling you, like, for me, it's a coach. We keep falling short against teams, and it's like the fans that are protecting Allegri continue to feed us this thing about missing these key players, but the teams we're getting outclassed by have far worse rosters that are outclassing Max and the players he has. We like at some point you just have to stop. And again,
we're running a poll on that one.
This player thing, okay, this player thing with, well, they can't make a 4-foot pass, they can't do this. There is no structure. There is no set designs. Like, when have you seen something
Fully agree.
from Juve that you're like, hey, that's right off the training grounds? Couldn't even tell you one this year where I've said, hey, that's right out of the training grounds. No.
What's more likely to change a team, one player or one manager?
Well, Di Maria helps things a lot.
I'm not saying we didn't see players changing teams' fates. Zlatan for Milan 2 years ago, and Van Dijk and whatever. But it's more likely that if you change managers, then the team.
And what was happening against Monza while Di Maria was in that match before he got sent out? Absolutely nothing.
He wasn't in very long. Hey,
absolutely nothing.
I just think it's a fantastic question that I asked.
It is a solid question. It'll be interesting to see how that poll comes out, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow on the podcast.
Yes,
so Maccabi, Juventus, again, we're down to taking it one match at a time, everybody. This one today has to be a victory, okay? They can't slip up at all. Will Max go? Will he not? If we slip up, hey, that's still in question. The funny thing to me, just to mention, the funny thing to me is hearing reports that, well, they're waiting to evaluate him in while the World Cup's happening. If you're even thinking about it, if you're waiting to evaluate, I don't even understand that. Waiting till then or waiting till now, you're paying the same either way. So it's either, he's cutting it or he isn't. This whole report thing, that's why I truly believe he isn't going anywhere, to be honest. And everybody can feel the way they want about that. Maccabi and Juventus, we're going to get a little trivia. Since there's not a lot out there, we're just going to quiz your memories. Okay, so memory quiz for Ant and Omer here. Who had more attempts in that match and how many?
Look, it's not fair. I was at the match.
Well, you should have.
You should know. It's right there on the
No,
scoreboard.
because when I'm at home, I always look at stats. But when I was at the game, I looked on the field all the time.
It's
Like,
you had a few too many wobbly pops, and it's hard to
Hey, man.
remember. It's okay.
more than a few too many. No, up until the 65th minute, it was Juve definitely. But then Maccabi started attacking, and they had like 3 crossbars or whatever, and 1 goal.
Well, hang on.
I know.
Shots on target or just shots?
Total attempts. Who had the most total attempts and how many?
No, I'll go with Juve. We had a lot in the first half.
I'm going to go Maccabi, and they had 3 more than Juventus.
What's the total?
15-12.
Maccabi had the most attempts with 20. 20 attempts. Shout out to Soiree, nailing it. Okay.
And what did Juventus have?
Total attempts. Juventus had 16 total attempts. Who got Juve's only yellow card of that game?
Oh.
Who was the only yellow card for Juventus in that match?
Well, I'm going to... Oh, shit. Was it Moretti? Did he get one? No, he got one against PSG. And then he got another one because if he gets one today, he's suspended for the next game. So
I have some Quadrado shouts.
Yeah, I think Quadrado
Moretti.
too. I think it was someone who was substituted. Like,
We're going to need a guess here. 5.
I'm going with Quadrado.
Quadrado. The only yellow card for Juventus came later in the match, and it was Alex Sandro.
Oh.
Okay. In terms of the last player being subbed in, who was Juve's last substitute to enter the match?
Who was the last one to come in and not make a difference? I think it was Keane.
Yeah, Keane came on late.
He's been coming on late. Oh, no, Sule came on in
maybe
the Milan game. Sule wasn't even on the bench for that game.
No,
I'm going to go with Keane.
Keane?
Yep.
So Ant's going Keane.
Yeah, I think Keane too.
It was Miretti. I'll give... Okay. What minutes did the Juve goals come in? This is the last question. Which minutes did we score in?
Oh, come on. I don't remember that.
Come on. We had a first half goal and 2 in the second.
You took a video of it, for crying out loud.
Yeah, the first one was early in the second half.
No, the first one, I just said
the
we had
second
one
one.
in the first
the
half.
second one, the one I got on film. I think the first one was like 21st minute.
Yep. I'll go with that.
First one was 35.
35. Wow.
So the second one, you were right, is early on in the second half. So what minute?
Like 48.
52nd.
Very, 52. Very close here. 36, 49, 81. Well, it's 35, 50, and 83. So memories.
We
memories need a little bit of work there, fellas.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on.
Look,
he was drunk, so that's not fair.
I was drunk.
Omer had
quite with you. Because you asked me if I can capture a goal on film, then I was like with my phone and watching the game, and every time there was an opportunity, I raised my phone. I was actually happy it happened quite early because I didn't want to do that all game long.
Yeah,
so
that was awesome.
But when you're there, you're not looking at stats. You're not looking at the board or what time it is, what minute it is. You're just watching the game, watching the crowd, everything around you.
Yeah. Now
it's a different experience.
I'm going to remind everybody, take a second, hit that thumbs up button, okay? Let's like the video, okay? Let's get at least the amount that are on here with the live right here. And now let's get into the actual matchups. Omer, if you could fill us in on what happened with Maccabi's match since our last meeting. And then we know what happened with Milan. We'll loosely talk about that. But Omer, what happened with Maccabi in their match?
Okay, Maccabi lost 1-0. They played their B team. They got an early red card and a straight goal from a free kick after that red card. And that was about it. They were left with 10 men. They still played and attacked a lot, but the other team defended for most of the game. And got the win, but it was their B team. Now, considering that
Sorry, they played all their subs, or they actually played their B team?
no, most of their subs guys you don't usually see on the field,
Okay.
like second and even third string choices.
Okay.
Considering the first match, it was right after Yom Kippur, so all the Jewish players who they were fasting basically for 25 hours prior to the match, so they didn't have 90 minutes in them. So they all came in late. That's when Maccabi started attacking. And if you remember the Atzili guy, the guy who scored the goal, Din David, Netalavi, he's their midfield anchor. He was missing. He's their best midfielder. And Dolev Chaziza was on the left. These are the guys that make stuff happen. They didn't play. They only had a few minutes in them. Now they are going to play. So we're going to see a different type of Maccabi playing. They're more natural team, which will be harder, and it's an away game. And they have a guy in midfield called Ali Muhammad. So Muhammad Ali, if you would like to call him that. And he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah. Luis Miranda coming in here saying he feels bad for Fajoli. Juve did him dirty by giving a contract with a promise of playing, but he rarely plays. Fajoli should be playing over McKennie. Do you guys think Fajoli should play over McKennie?
In Champions League, if McKennie is playing right wing, then I don't play anyone. Play Sule there. If he's playing midfield, yeah, I don't know. Might be time to give something else a shot. Yeah. Kenny obviously underperforms, maybe not due to himself being a bad player. Just the team is looking bad, so he's looking bad. But yeah, maybe it is time to give Fajoli a run in.
Anth, what do you think?
I don't know. It's hard for me because I've seen what McKennie can do, and I've seen what Fajoli cannot do. This is a big match. You damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think I think Max is gonna stick with the devil he knows, right? I fully agree. McKennie hasn't been playing well, but man,
it's a tough one for me because I say we shouldn't. While I want to go back to Louis' comment there about doing him dirty by offering a contract, promise of playing, but he rarely plays. I don't think anything, regardless of the player, whether he's young or experienced, I don't think they should have like a sense of entitlement to a position or a role. I think it has to be earned. And it's one of my complaints with Juve for a while is they need to earn their spots. Fajoli, with the minutes he did receive earlier on and whatnot, like, he's really fallen off the wayside. Like even in the preseason, I was saying I was expecting big things, promising things out of the preseason, and he went through it very, very poorly. It has to be said, like he was not impacting the offensive phase of the game for Juve at all, really. And there is a drastic difference between Miretti and Fajoli. And Fajoli's got to shorten up that gap. In terms of McKennie, I think it's same thing with him. He has done nothing for me that solidifies his spot on that side of the pitch. And whether it be Fajoli, okay, sure, he could be due around again to make an attempt at getting that spot again. But McKennie certainly has had enough opportunity to make a difference, and it's not working. Whether it's system or whatever it is, it ain't working. So I would be okay with trying something at that spot. So it's interesting. One of the things Anthony touched on in our podcast, and obviously Omer did a great job filling us in on Maccabi, what to expect and everything. In terms of Juventus, it was yet another big game, okay, against Milan where we fall short yet again, okay? And it's become the story, but bigger than even just the big matches has become our dreadful performance away from home. Okay. So on the road, It's been abysmal. It's the second time in 40 years that Juve has failed to win any of their first like 4 away matches through league play and stuff, and that's wild to think about. And it's, again, when I go back to the numbers with Max, they're dreadful since his return. Like, we're breaking records and we're tying records that are ones we don't even want to be anywhere near.
Smashing records. Yeah.
Like, it's awful. So
Like
the
the
away
Kool-Aid
play
man.
is just absolutely dreadful. And you'd think we'd be used to it at this time with our homes being away. Miretti and Danilo, both in danger of missing Benfica with a yellow today. So they're not slated to be in there from the start. What we're going to see out of the start is Szczesny, Quadrado, Bonucci, Bremer, Sandro, McKennie, Paredes, Rabiot, Di Maria, Vlahovic, Kostic. That's what I have. Guys, how do you feel about that lineup?
Who do you have
Going
instead
into
of
this one.
Danilo?
I'd expect Israel to be rocking. There's a mix between Quad and Danilo. Like, Danilo might still start, but it's a big question mark with that card. So I'm hearing mixed things, that Max isn't going to risk him to have him for Benfica, but he could very well start today.
Yeah, the one that the All Juve cast put out, which is not one of us three. So Danilo, Bremer, Bonucci, Sandro, McKennie, Paredes, Rabiot, Di Maria, Vlahovic, Kostic.
It's all the same with Danilo, yeah.
Yeah, so is that a 4-3-3 then? How that lines up?
I actually saw one with Paredes, Lucatelli, and Rabiot in midfield.
I saw that one like a day ago, like early yesterday,
yesterday,
and then I didn't see it matched up again.
Yeah, each one of them, I don't, maybe,
I don't
I know,
have
if
an issue
McKennie
with it.
is playing like an outside mid, then it doesn't really matter. We saw that McKennie's best traits are coming into the area as a midfielder, not crossing from the byline. So I know it depends on the system. The players are like, no matter who we field, it doesn't look good from the start of the season. So it's not a player issue, in my opinion. It doesn't matter who's in the lineup. We don't have a substitute LB for Sandro, so he's locked in. If Danilo is not playing, then Quadrado is the only option since the Chilio is injured. Like, we're basically playing whoever we have available at the moment.
I don't have an issue with the starting lineup. I really don't. This one here, again, I said this on the last pregame or postgame. This is the least of our worries at the moment. Who we have between the pipes. For me, I still think Tech is our starting keeper. But if they put Perrin in there, whatever. Like, who's ever back there is fine. Except Tech did have that howler against.
Of course he did. I was just going to say, like, it was bad. Perrin's my guy. Perrin's my guy right now. He's just in way better form. Too. Yeah. But, again, that's not the biggest problem. So, to Anthony's point, that's not the biggest problem. Again, 4-3-3, a hybrid 4-4-2 with Di Maria being the free roaming player. We could see it being a number of different ways. It's ultimately, hey, one game at a time, right, Anth? We'll see what happens, what goes down here. Before we hit Storm the Barn, everybody, and you can all get all your questions, everything in, we're going to go through the predictions, okay? And we're going to see how we actually feel about this game and how it's going to go down. So we're going to get into the predictions right now. Obviously, we've changed things. It's going to be full-time score and then 2 tiebreakers of your choice. They can be literally anything. You can try and match the goal scorers up. You can pick early yellow card. You can pick whatever you like. We're not going to talk about our Milan predictions, okay? We're just going to get into this
We're just going to skip right over that.
Remo coming in with 2-0 Juve. Bingramjit coming in with a 1-0 Juve. All right. Who wants to kick us off on the panel with their predictions? We have a 1-1 from Dells. And I seen some 2-2s out there floating around today. We got a 3-1 from Anthony. Okay, who wants to kick us off here?
I just wrote them down, so I'll start us off. I was going to start off. I was going to go, Eric, always love the positivity, buddy. He had a comment earlier which was kind of funny. Am I the one hoping that? Yes, you are. I think
you are.
Yeah.
For
you
sure.
are alone on that island, my friend. So I'm gonna go with. I was gonna go with 4-2.
Okay.
Juve. I'm gonna go 4-3 Juve. I think we sieve a lot of goals today. I'm gonna go 58-42 possession for the Israelis.
Okay.
17 shots, 8 on target, with 2 offsides.
Okay.
I
Omer,
think it's gonna be a lot of goals today. Hopefully, we get more than they do.
let's get your predictions in here, Omer.
You're on mute, bub.
I'm not getting ready for it like you do, and so
No, I literally just wrote them down.
I don't believe you, but it's fine. And I like to pull them out just like that. So let's go with score. I think it's going to be a close one, like maybe 2-1 Juve. No, 3-2 Juve.
You just took my score line, you son of a bitch. All right. All right.
And
What's that finger thing?
All right.
well, we're a friendly podcast. I'm not going to.
Oh yeah.
3-2 Juve. Okay, what are your tiebreakers?
3-2. I'll go with. Let's go with 7-5 on corners. And first yellow, Juve, Quadrado.
Okay. Well, I was going to say 3-2. I'm going to stand by the 3-2 scoreline. I think it will be 3-2. We've talked about the struggles on away from home, so I think Maccabi does that place should be rocking too. If it's anything into what that sliver did at our stadium, that place will be rocking tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So 3-2 tiebreakers are going to be 3 goal scorers from Juve. Di Maria finds one and sets up 2. Vlahovic. So Vlahovic brace, Di Maria 1. My other tiebreaker is going to be total attempts for Juventus. I think 14 total attempts with 8 on target. That's going to be my predictions. All right. So there we have it. Storm the barn coming in already from Nader. Basically, likelihood of a blackout at 20 to 30 minutes in. 50%, 75%, 100%.
Is he talking about like the lights actually shutting off, or like I didn't quite understand this one, or like a mental blackout? I got you now.
Yeah.
Not the blackout you want.
There's 100% chance it's going to happen. 100% chance.
Oh yeah.
Going by everything we've seen this season, it's a safe
I don't know
bet.
at the 20-30 minute mark, but 100%.
I don't think it'll be 20, 30 minutes in, but I can, away from home, if it happens in the second half the way it did at our house, that's gonna be
Look,
tough.
that stadium is a volcano. I've been there more than once, and up until Maccabi's the one who's coaching them now, came in, they started winning titles. They had like 10 horrible years, and their fans were always there, no matter what, with the banners and the fireworks and everything. It's a tough place to play in. Like the home crowd is it's super like cheering and yelling and doing everything they can to cheer the team and make it bad for the other team. So it's not going to be an easy one.
How big is the stadium? Do you have any idea? It's like 40,000.
I think it's 30, 35.
So those smaller
it's pretty
stadiums
close
can get rocking.
it's pretty close to what Juve has right now. It's a fairly new stadium. They built it like 5 or 6 years ago. It's not they rebuild their old stadium. But those tough away matches of the relatively smaller teams are always tough with the crowd. Like go to play in Turkey, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, their fans are like wild. Belgrade, whatever, all those smaller teams have very loyal home supporters.
Rabiot's to
throwing the
save
barn
us.
here. Oh,
Our new leader. Ant, you
Wow.
were speaking pretty highly about his press conference.
yeah, I had some big issues with what people are saying. One, I think people were watching a different presser than I was because I didn't see anywhere in there where he talked about him being a leader and him. I didn't hear those words come out. Maybe I missed it after I watched it 3 times.
Because the words
I was
that were
trying to
coming out where he specifically said he can be that leader, right? That's what people were claiming.
I'll
and
read
he says,
between the
"I am a leader."
lines.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. So again, I might have missed it when I watched it 3 times and tried to translate it. But
You
yeah,
watched
I
that
made some.
3 times?
Well, yeah, because I was like, oh, maybe I missed it. But his portion was only 7 minutes, right? 7. So it's hey, the things I got to do for the show, man.
Man, I give credit to Al for watching Juve's games the second time.
Yeah.
Watching a presser with Allegri and Rabiot 3 times.
No, I only watched the Allegri
I
portion
thought you
once
were
because
a
I
busy
knew what his
guy.
answers were going to be.
I
No,
thought you-
so the Rabiot thing was if you watch and listen to what he says, he talks about how the team is unified. You know, we're in good spirits. We have to fix things together. He talked about, like, one question was how things have changed. Tell me about how things have changed since when you first got here. He's like, well, all those leaders are gone. All those experienced guys are gone. So maybe he mentioned something in there, but I didn't hear it because he said, you know, now it's up to me to, you know, help the younger players out. So he was saying all the right things. I didn't see okay, you can say people have their agenda against Rabiot, and that's fine. But I didn't get how people were dumping on him for what he said because they didn't watch it. Go and watch it and read a
This
translation because
continues what
said
I've
all the right
said
things.
repeatedly about Rabiot. The only problem with Adrian Rabiot is his salary. That is literally it. People want to talk about his mother, who's a psychopath, and all this and all that. Even that hasn't been a problem for Juventus. He hasn't
Nope.
been a problem for Juventus. The
Nope.
only problem with Adrian Rabiot and Juventus is the salary that he's on. And I said it before and I'll say it again. If we could renew at half of the wages, I would do it. I would honestly do it when it comes to Adrian Rabiot. He's been far from a problem. And again, when we got away from last season when he was playing outside mid, he's a central midfielder all day.
Invisible.
He was awful and it was bad. And he wasn't doing anything, wasn't impacting games. When he plays in the middle of the park, he does a good job. He does a really, really good job. And right now he's standing out because part of it is what the rest are lacking, but he is not a problem. It's literally that disgusting salary, to which is not his fault either, really.
Nope.
The question is what will happen when Pogba gets back because he's like on Pogba's spot.
Rabiot can play on the other side. I've always said this. I can't stand this. And it's a different story. I'm not saying I would play Pogba and Rabiot in a midfield, but maybe, just maybe, it would be fine. You could turn into a 2-man pivot with a Paredes or a Locatelli next to Rabiot and let Pogba free roam up top. That's probably the route I would go in, to be honest. Or I would put this thing with Paredes coming in and Locatelli going to the side. We haven't even barely seen it. So I don't even know. Miretti next to Paredes and Rabiot is fine too. Like, there's a lot of different options, but there's a couple guys that are ahead.
I think that will be the best one, actually, with, you know, the 2-man pivot, same to what Lucatelli played in Sassuolo, with either Pogba and then you have Miretti who can play there, and
Exactly.
plays there. And then you can shift between Paredes, Lucatelli, McKennie, Rabiot on the 2-man pivot. It seems better than the 4-3-3.
For me, McKennie's got to pick up the pivot. If he can learn the pivot style, that's going to be the best, because right now, this other thing is just not. I see him consistently running away from the positions he needs to be in to be an option for players. And that's on him, really. But how a coach doesn't change that if you're watching it, because he does it all the time, all the bloody time.
What's the old Einstein saying? about
Doing the same thing over and over and
yeah,
expecting different results. Yeah.
yeah. Same goes
Definition of
for
insanity.
Rabiot on the left, McKennie on the right, whatever you wanna.
And the other thing is too is just watching this team in general. I talked about it immediately when I came back from LA because I saw it firsthand in their training sessions. These Metsalas, our side central midfielders, they bail out of the play so damn fast. Like we just quickly advance. We did it against Milan. We've done it all season. And for me, it's just ass backwards because they aren't options. So our regista has no options because these guys have already gone to the back line. They're level with Vlahovic, Kostic up top there. If you can't break the lines, there's nowhere to go. So our regista usually has to go backwards or out to the flank. Well, guess what? When the ball hits that flank, our guys, again, those Metsalas that should be in those roles, creating these passing triangles, they're against the last line of defense. They're not options either. And you see it over and over and over. And it's
problem is the strikers are dropping back because the midfielders aren't there. So you see McKennie and
the whole
Rabiot
thing's a
up
mess.
front. Yeah, it's a mess. Where are the
Why
midfielders?
was Vlahovic supposed to be a link up against Milan? Like he was so far back, and again, yeah, those mids are beyond. It's like what exactly is the end game there to spring one of those outside mids like through there?
If you really think about that play that Vlahovic, forced the turnover, or he had the turnover, he was near the half line, and one of his targets behind him was his strike partner.
Yeah,
who was
like
in our half.
It was
So
passing to Milik in the middle of the midfield,
who was behind Locatelli. Let that sink in.
It's not that it's not something new. Like we've seen the same thing with Dybala, with Morata. Like the only guy who wasn't dropping back to start plays was Ronaldo. It's nothing new. And Sarri said, I'm going to chain Dybala to that goalpost if I have to. I need him to stop tracking back and coming to take the ball in the midfield. That's a huge problem. It's not a new problem. We've seen that happen a lot due to the midfield, I don't know, just not functioning.
So we can all move on from the Dybala watch now because he has injured himself again on a PK. Taking a PK, unbelievable.
That's a first. That's the first time I've seen it.
I've never seen somebody get injured taking a PK. It was unbelievable.
Too bad for him.
It is sad. It is sad. But it was funny. Like I have to admit, like it's. I hate seeing people injured, whatever. But like I was just laughing at the sheer shock of like hurting yourself taking a PK. Very unfortunate. He's probably going to miss World Cup too, which sucks.
What's the funniest injury you've seen?
What do you reckon would be the best possible result as far as PSG and Benfica match is concerned? So we talked about this after the first Maccabi match, and I told Anth, I go, even a tie makes it very challenging between Benfica and PSG, and it does now. I think now what we need is PSG to win. And we need so PSG has to win this one for a best result for Juventus, in my opinion. Like a draw puts them another extra point ahead, and then Benfica's obviously plays us, and then Maccabi last away from home. Omer, do you feel like Maccabi could get something out of Benfica in that final match at home? Like they played them very, very tough in the first one.
They weren't bad. The away match, one of the goals from Grimaldo was unstoppable. It was nothing due to Maccabi being a lesser side or anything. It was just unstoppable, but they were sort of up to par, and it was away game. The first away game of the Champions League. They could get a result playing at home. We need PSG to win. Like a draw in the last match was the worst case scenario for us. Because now we have to win against Maccabi today. We have to win against Benfica. And we need a result against PSG too. Because if Benfica do win against Maccabi, then it doesn't matter what we do.
Yeah,
we need it. Oh, so a good friend of mine's in France at the moment, and they were in Paris. He saw the Benfica buses driving down the road. He was like, "Oh, let's see what tickets are. Top deck, €150 a ticket." He's like, "I don't
Where?
think I'm
Sorry?
gonna go." In France,
In France.
yeah, €150 way at the top.
Yeah.
So, it has to be a PSG win. Need them to win the last game. We just need to win out. Like that's the thing. Like we need to win out. You can't worry about what other teams are doing. You got to win.
How do you guys feel about all the season's over talk and everyone just kind of getting
Is it
into that
over?
right now?
Is it? Because I got other stuff I can do. But
take it easy.
It's not over. It's not over, but it's really hard to see it turning
what's
around.
over? Like what's over?
And
Champions
not
League?
over in terms of points. It's every loss makes the situation worse, and we still have very good teams to play against in the league. Like, okay, Milan beat us. We still have to play Inter. We still have to play Napoli. We still have to play Udinese, Lazio.
I think what they're referring to is obviously any hopes of the Scudetto are probably gone. You're 10 points out now, and you're playing nowhere near the form that's required to be up there based on the past couple seasons. Obviously, it could change quickly, but you would need a run. And right now, I can understand people not believing in this team going on a run.
Yeah, the last time it happened in 2015-16, you could see that it was more of a bad luck and some bad draws, and then suddenly turned it around. But you saw the foundations were there, and there is room for success. I don't see it now. I don't see any.
I don't see it in the players. I don't see the attitude. I don't see the body language required to go on a run like that. Sadly, in terms of Champions League, what's that?
I'll keep the hope alive.
You keep the hope alive.
Out there. I'll keep
Scudetto hope alive for you still.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
Look, I won't stop watching.
Or else what are we doing here?
I will always hope, and I won't stop watching. It's just hard to see Scudetto, out of the question. Champions League qualification, no, I haven't given up on that in any way. Just hard to see us string, like a 10-win streak, and to put pressure on the other guys. And the teams above us look great at the moment. They don't see anyone dropping easy points here and there.
Yeah. You have to believe for the sake of believing, right? But honestly, look, I'm just saying it's going to be one hell of a road. Right now, this team hasn't done enough to instill the confidence in the players. And our own coach has said that. In fans, sorry, not players. Our own coach has said that. He goes, it's up to us to, reinstill that belief in our fans and call for that support. They haven't done it. It's that simple. So while I don't necessarily feel that way, like it's all over and done, because there's a lot of points up for grab and everything. In the same token, what I've been saying over the past week now is I don't believe Max is the guy to turn it around. I don't.
I'll tell you why I'm a little confident. Napoli, chokers. Atalanta, clown show. Like, come on. Udinese, annual mid-table club, right? Those three teams are ahead of us. I have no faith in Atalanta and Udinese finishing in the top four. None.
Napoli are the most impressive team in Europe at the moment.
Napoli looks good, but they have done nothing in the past 65 years.
Leave the past behind.
Not done 65 years old. Stop it. That they can maintain that first spot. They've done nothing. Except put Maradona on their jersey.
If you say that Allegri's past shouldn't be considered, then don't consider Napoli's past or anything. It's a new season, new players, everything is up for grabs. It doesn't matter what Napoli were, it matters what they are now. And right now they're looking good. What can I say?
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe they'll stink in the second half.
Yeah, we're 6 points out of the sixth place spot, which is being held by Roma. Obviously, 10 away from the pace Napoli setting right now. There's a lot of work to be done again.
This World Cup, man, I'm telling you, this World Cup could be a big problem for a lot of teams.
It could be.
And the blessing.
It could be a problem for us, and we already got many problems.
Amen to that.
It's tough. We'll see what goes down. But, nothing's over till it's officially and mathematically over, but the team's got a lot of work ahead of it.
No doubt.
we all appreciate and respect Max for what he achieved in his first stint. Has he tarnished that at all for you? And if so, would him resigning instead of being sacked go some way to repairing the damage? I can kick us off if you guys want. I'll say he
go ahead,
hasn't
Al.
tarnished what happened before for me. I felt like he was getting to that point and he left at probably the perfect time originally. And it wasn't kind of like a firing. It was kind of like a mutual thing, the way they did it and the way they explained it and had the press conference and everything. So it was probably the perfect way to do it. This return has been dreadful and an absolute nightmare. Does it change how I feel about everything he accomplished previously? No. Would him resigning now go some way in terms of sacking? I think it would go a long way. I would never expect someone to give up that amount of money, though. I would never expect somebody to do that. If he's still expecting the money while resigning, that's a big problem too. So I don't think he's got that in his character. So for me, I think resigning would be a good thing, but I'll never expect somebody to do that because I wouldn't do it. I'll be 100% honest. With that money on the line, you're going to have to let me go, is what it is, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, what happened. He won whatever he won, and his name will forever be in Juve's history in their most successful period ever. So he won't tarnish his legacy with Juve and what he's done. You can't erase that. But it does leave like a black mark when he will retire or will be done with Juve. If things continue this way, it's a very huge spot, a very huge mark on his career with Juve.
I think I'd be more interested like after he leaves because he will be leaving eventually. It'd be more interesting to see what he says about Juventus after he leaves when he's a talking head on one of those TV shows. Can't be fixed. There's issues here and there. That'd be more for what he did in the past. Thank you. What he's doing now, no thanks. But
that's really what it comes down to. I mean, again, I mentioned it earlier when I talk about some of the discussions that are being had on social media and someone attacking me with what he was doing before winning. I go, what good does that do for us right now in this moment in time? I go, it has no bearing on what's going on right now. And it's just, it's unfortunate. Again, I will always say this. Not in a million years would I expect what's been going down in Max's return to actually happen. If you would have told me when Max came back that it would be, hey, 1 win out of 17 big matches since his return, can't win away from home, can't put together 90 minutes of focused performances, like I would say you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. Yet here we are. So if that's kind of how it's gone now in terms of who you want as a replacement, all this, there are going to be question marks surrounding everyone. I truly feel Juve is a bit afraid to make that next move based on what they did with Sarri, what happened with Pirlo, and now Max. I think they are gun shy. Not only because of that, when you factor in the financials that are going to take place and on top of the 250, Juve is scared to make that next move. I'm telling you.
Rightfully so, though.
What's that?
Rightfully so. Like 4 coaches in 5 years, like it's
what do you do? What do you say? Like, who do you bring in? Again, you can have question marks now about everything because what you knew and what you banked on and what you thought was a for sure. And we talked about those items that were for sure with Max. We're going to get this at least bare minimum 100%. They're not there. And that throws everything out of the window. And now it's crazy. If you start looking at how you're going to move forward, that next one, they can't afford to miss. They can't.
Like if he comes back, like let's say the season ends on the worst possible way out of the Champions League and everything, and then like in, I don't know, 5 years, he comes back to the stadium to watch a match. Will he get a round of applause for his stint with Juve overall? Or will he be regarded, all the fans won't forgive him? Like if Lippi comes back to the stadium, even though his second stint wasn't as glorious as his first one, he'll still get the applause he deserves. And I feel like Max is, moving away from that one game at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, so he is tarnishing his legacy for sure.
For some fans, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's just, again, we talk about this and Bikramjeet saying that's why Max is not going anywhere when we just talk about that, them being gun shy. But is that right? Is it right to do that? I don't know. We'll have to see. It's all it comes down to is they got to figure this out. Rabio and Max saying the same thing in the press conference. They train well. It's not coming through on the pitch. Well, guess what? They got to figure it out because I do have a problem with this lack of accountability. Somebody's got to be somebody, and like some in general have to be held accountable for what's going on. And it does start at the top. I will say this, it starts at the top. And Yeli's got to face some of the heat for making a call on Pirlo and then immediately reverting to Allegri since he's become available and want to come back on coaching. Like he's circumnavigated the people he's put in place to make those decisions. And then you kept those people around. So he's got to face some music too. So it starts from the top and working its way down, and we'll see what happens. But today, Maccabi has to be a win. Unfortunately, Anish, because of the game set to be an early one today, it's 9:45 a.m. my time. There is no chance. So just like John Elkin, no chance in hell selling Juve, no chance, unfortunately, for me doing a watch along. Okay, but after the Maccabi match, I will have one. Okay, so I will do one for the Derby della Mola, which is going to be on the 15th. Okay, so I will do a watch along for that one. All right, everybody. Very interesting time around Juve
today.
Okay, let's get the win. Let's focus on one match at a time today in Israel. Maccabi, get the win, get it done. Want to remind you all, if you could take a second to like the video, that'd be fantastic. I love what you guys have been doing after the video ends, dropping comments in the video. That goes a long way too. So go in there after we're done recording, throw in a hashtag Scanga out, and we're all winners, okay? Ciao tutti. Enjoy. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time for the post-match pod, okay? Fino alla fine, Forza Juve, one match at a time. Just get that win. Ciao tutti.
Need it.